For a session produced by our underwriter Inova, please welcome Sage Bolte, Chief Philanthropy Officer and President of the Inova Health Foundation, and Dwight Fincher, Designer Principal at Wilmot, Sanz. Here to lead the conversation is Jennie Mcgihon, a cancer survivor and Executive Director of Development at Inova.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Jennie Mcgihon. I am with the Inova Health Foundation. 9 years ago, when I was 32 years old, I was diagnosed with both ovarian and uterine cancers. When I was diagnosed, the day I was diagnosed, I thought I was going to need to get treatment at one of the academic medical centers in the greater Washington, Baltimore area. What I came to realize as getting my first, second, and third opinions was that the team at Inova Schar Cancer Institute had actually, some of those experts had trained with the people at the academic medical institutes where I was getting opinions. So I realized, I thought, why not reduce my stress and stay in my backyard and get my treatment at a community health system that also had leading experts in treating my disease. Overall, I had a great experience being treated at what is now the Schar Cancer Institute. However, nothing about my treatment was really perfect or totally patient-centered. I obviously have had a good outcome because I'm here 10 years later, but thank you, yes. But my experience, I spent a good time on the Beltway, coordinating my care, driving from one place to another to get labs, to get hydration, to get infusion. And it was actually my gratitude for my experience and my desire to make it better for the next 32-year-old woman who's going to get this diagnosis, to join the team at Inova and be a part of the team, some of whom are here with us today, to redevelop the 117-acre former ExxonMobil headquarter campus into what is going to be an amazing cancer facility, the Inova Schar Cancer Institute. I'm joined here today by Dr. Sage Bolte, who recently became the president of the Inova Health Foundation, but has served for the past several years as the director of our Life with Cancer program and the director of patient experience at Schar. So Sage, tell us about building a patient-centered cancer institute.
Yeah, so thank you, Jennie, and thank you all for being here. We're excited to join you. You know, when we had the opportunity to buy this ginormous land, and if you think about turning an oil industry building into a cancer institute, certainly it was fraught with challenges, but we had an amazing opportunity to really take our time. And so we did about 6 focus groups of patients and asked them what they wanted, because we have the opportunity to really build a cancer institute and not have to form fit into a building. And so what patients told us is a few key pieces. They wanted to be in one spot, and they wanted the physicians, the nurses, the clinicians to come to them. They wanted flexible treatment space options. Sometimes they wanted treatment privately in a room, and sometimes they wanted to be in a more community-centered space, which was surprising actually to our physicians who had initially built the infusion suite to be all private rooms. And so we went back and rebuilt that, because what they said is, I want a warm space. I want a space that I can talk to people, or if I'm not feeling like being social, to be able to make an appointment with one of the private rooms. We asked what they wanted visually, and they talked about, again, having sunlight, being able to have the warmth and the elements of the earth. So we worked with incredible architects and designers to bring in the warmth of the earth with the color and design. Even talking about the food we serve on campus, they said, please do not bring me eggs made out of powder or another turkey sandwich that tastes like the plastic it's been sitting in. I want food that makes me feel like I'm walking out healthier. I want to be able to, because I am so busy, be able to pick up meals on my way out so that I can nourish my body and nourish my family when I leave. And so all of those elements we were able to bring into the care of our patients. The other piece that changed was the way we're doing medicine now is very siloed. Our doctors go to their offices, and then they come back and do their treatments with their patients, and then they go back to their offices. And the patients really forced us to think differently. So we went to University of Michigan, we went to Cancer Treatment Centers of America, we went to Cedars-Sinai, we visited many of the wonderful and amazing cancer institutes and looked at their different models of care. And one of the ones that stood out to us related to really being patient-centered was the forced interdisciplinary care of having these pods where the physicians, nurses, everyone would be forced to come together to communicate about a patient. So if there was a question, a physician passing by could be grabbed easily and look at an x-ray or look at a scan or look at a treatment model and give some input. Physicians were initially not so happy about this. They wanted their offices. And so we did a lot of convincing by sharing patient stories with them about how this makes a difference. And you would believe it or not, they're actually really excited and bought into this idea of, again, having a patient-centered model that forces everybody to collaborate and be together in one space.
And the beauty of the pod is that is the patient's home for all treatment, right? They will go to the pod for all things, as opposed to my experience of moving around many different buildings.
That's right.
Dr. Stephen Jones, the physician and CEO of Inova, likes to say that we are in the business of making miracles. Part of that involves building a facility that welcomes patients from the moment they first step on the grounds and starts that healing process. Architect Dwight Fincher with Wilmot Sanz is here to tell us about the latest in designing healthcare facilities.
Thank you very much. This is a great opportunity. I appreciate the opportunity to be here and talk about the Inova Schar Cancer Institute. The Inova Schar Cancer Institute's story is really a story of transformation. It's a transformation of purpose, transformation of architecture, and transformation of lives. It's the bellwether project of the 1.2 million square foot Inova Campus for Personalized Health, which is the adaptive reuse, as Sage mentioned, of the ExxonMobil campus, original campus. It's a very unique and challenging design effort because Inova, well, I should say ExxonMobil developed the project in the 70s. They designed it based on stealth and security out of fear of eco-terrorism. So they hid it in this 117 acres in the middle of this forested area, and the whole lower level is just impenetrable. So there's absolutely nothing about it that's conducive to the welcoming and life-affirming aspects of patient-focused design. So again, the first part of that transformation is the Inova Schar Cancer Institute at 438,000 square feet. We looked into, and as Sage and Jennie mentioned, you know, what are the trends in healthcare right now that start to shape the facility design? We talked about, again, I'll go through it. It's really putting services out into the community, separating it from the acute care side. It's consolidating and centralizing services, diagnostic treatment, and research and amenities all under one roof. It's taking these multidisciplinary clinic designs and care models where the care revolves around the patients based on disease sites in the building or in these clinical care modules. And this all happens in one place. It's a one-stop shop for cancer care. We have to design in flexibility. There's tremendous flexibility required because of the ever-changing technology and the flexing care models in terms of clinical spaces that can flex up and down based on the business model or the use group. And then the patient now is an informed and educated healthcare consumer. Through their expectations, they drive a tremendous amount of the design in terms of the aesthetics and of a project. And then there's obviously translational medicine, there's personalized and precision medicine as part of that, and then continuing and ongoing and evolving evidence-based design criteria that we use as designers to help mitigate the stress of part of the disease journey, and to the extent we can, the built environment can actually help improve the outcomes of the patient. Again, part of that was all wrapped up, and what that led to was 14 multi-D clinics based on disease site, over 8 floors. We've got 48-bay medical oncology floor. We put that on the top floor to maximize the views for patients over the countryside. That includes clinical trials. We've got a brand new radiation oncology facility that's augmented by a new proton center, a two-bay proton center, and actually just 2 weeks ago, the 600-ton treatment gantry arrived in components. A 65-foot diameter treatment gantry arrived, and they started dropping that through the roof of the building. This building was designed around this very specialized equipment, and to shield it, you know, we're talking about 8 to 15-foot thick walls, concrete walls for shielding. So it's an amazing, amazing project. But again, all that is wrapped around, what is wrapped around that is the patient-centered and patient-focused design. It's a big part of that. So that covers, that wraps around all the steel, the glass, and the program space.
Thank you, Dwight. Thank you, Sage, for sharing with us the best practices in evidence-based care design. And thank you all for being our audience today.
Yeah.